Welcome to the 𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 podcast. My name is 𝗃𝗺𝗶𝗃𝗃𝗃. Show your love, show your support. Check us out on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, TikTok, and Instagram. Follow us though, subscribe, and we will greatly appreciate this. On today's podcast, we'll be talking about effective communication skills, improving verbal and non-verbal communications, navigating challenging conversations. The number one is foundation of effective communication. What is effective communication? This is the ability to express yourself without having problems and difficulty in a way that the other person can understand whatever you're trying to say perfectly, if that makes sense. So, let's talk about the importance of non-verbal and verbal cues. Verbal cues in terms of communication is when you know how to express yourself perfectly, as said earlier, and the other person can understand what you're trying to say. You don't need to talk all day long. And the non-verbal cues is, if, for example, let's say someone is trying to encourage you to do something you do not want to do. You get me? You don't have to smile in acceptance, like whatever that person is saying makes sense. Like your body cues has to show you're not, I'm not down for that. But what do most people do? People want to be accepted. You get what I'm saying? And I understand. Well, we're talking about communication skills right now, and which is something I preach on my podcast back to back. I preach this on the 𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 podcast that if you're a man, you're a woman, you need to work on your communication skills. So the second, let's talk about navigating challenging conversations. What are the strategies for, resolving conflicts in personal and professional relationship? Majority of the time in our workspace, we want to be professional. So when there is conflict, we put a smile on our face and, we just, we dumb it down because you're trying to be professional. But even in your state of professionalism, you still need to know how to set boundaries with people. And the strategies goes thus. When people disrespect you, you check them immediately. You don't have to be disrespectful to check people. You check them, you set boundaries. I don't like the way you spoke to me just now. You get what I'm saying? If there's a supervisor in place above you two, you report them to that supervisor. And when you report people to your supervisors, you don't report them in a way that you are upset. You report them to that supervisor that I want us to have a good relationship at work so we can accomplish our goals and objectives at work. But I don't like so thing happened just now and I just don't like it. It doesn't sit well. It's not professional. You get me? And the same thing goes in your personal life too. Because when there is order, there is, rules and regulations that you abide by. Like take for example, I don't want you to raise your voice at me. You get me? I don't want you to be disrespectful to me. I don't like the way you spoke to me just now. You just spoke down to me. I would never do that to you. So if they do it again, now you know it's time for you to go. But you need to learn how to express yourself, and you need to know how to be expressive about your likes and your dislikes. The problems comes from you expect people you expect people to know that this is how they should treat you. But it doesn't work like that. You get me? Like it doesn't work like that. Life will teach you that majority of the time people need to be taught basic things. Like people just don't know. People just don't know. And don't be afraid to take them to school. Yes. In the most polite way. If that makes sense. Now, let's talk about how to manage emotions during difficult discussions. Take for example, you set boundaries with people and they go against that boundary. It can be upsetting. It's possible for it to disrupt your emotions. And you have to stay balanced, my good friends. You get me? You stay balanced though, because nobody, no human being, no animal, nobody should have the power to control your emotions. So the strategy is to always stay grounded. When you know that the conversation, that difficult discussion is going like it's impossible for you to handle that discussions, you pull away. You tell them, I can't do this right now. I have to go. I can't do this right now. You get what I'm saying? Because you know that if you continue, there will be conflict. There will be, heavier arguments, and you don't want that. You just want you just want the boundaries to be set. I don't want you to to disrespect me. And I have met a lot of people that what they want is just to be respected. And when they try to set boundaries, the people they try to set the boundaries towards, those people feel disrespected in such a way that you are not on the level to place boundaries on me. And this is what I meant earlier, that you have to learn to take people to school without causing conflict. You get me? Even when they are losing their minds, oh my God, what do you mean? What kind of nonsense is that? I wasn't trying to be disrespectful. You must be grounded 100% and look them in their eyes and say, I understand everything you just said, and I know it is within your rights to say whatever you just said, but I felt disrespected and I don't like it. As simple as that. If we want to continue working together and we want to continue being friends, if you want to continue being in a relationship with me, I don't want you to do that to me. Am I making sense? Let's keep it pushing. Now, assertive communication is the next thing we need to talk about. Assertive communications. Don't let nobody manipulate you. When you set boundaries, let's say you say, I want ABC. Don't let anybody come into your frame and persuade you to accept D, E, F. Be very, very assertive. Be very, very assertive, my good friends, when you are explaining certain things, because there are moments people hear you loud and clear. That okay, he doesn't like this, but they want you to explain to them the reason why you don't like it. This is one of the opportunities that would come up. That okay, then you have to take them to school. The reason, and remember, you have to be calm when you are expressing yourself assertively. So that way you don't come out as you are upset. No, you are not upset. I am asserting my boundaries. I like you. I like the relationship we have with ourselves. But I don't want this. Because then if there is no respect between ourselves, so that means you can maltreat me, I can maltreat you. I don't want that. We are grown-ups. But what do you think about what I just said? Now you're giving them the opportunity to sit with what you just said. You get me? So, like, now, because when you take people to school, you can't just say, I don't like what you did just now. What do you mean? How dare you disrespect me like that? I'm from the streets, though. No. We are grown-ups. I like you. You are a friend to me. You're my colleague. You're my co-worker or something. I like working with you. But what you did just now, you just disrespected me. I would never have done that to you. I don't want you to do that to me, though. Or what do you think about what I just said? Now you wait for their reaction. Because when you are asserting boundaries, my good friends, assertive communications, you need to learn to apply breaks. You give them the opportunity to reflect on what you're saying. You get me? Don't just talk. No. When you talk a little bit, like 4 seconds, 5 seconds, you ask them a question that, what do you think about what I just said? And I respect you, right? I have never disrespected you before. I genuinely like you. But I think it makes a lot of sense. We respect ourselves because respect is reciprocal. What do you think about what I just said? That is assertive communication. Now, let's talk about the tips for setting boundaries in communication. At the inception of the relationship, either it's work relationship, it is sexual relationship, it is a business relationship or family relationship, the tips for setting boundaries is the same. It is the same, and it goes thus. You should never let any disrespect slide. Any disrespect, you must never let it slide. Hey, come here. You get up, you walk up to them, and you say, call me by my name. Don't call me like I'm your boy. Okay? What's going on? You get me? So that way, now, another tips for communication is this. When you set boundaries with people and they refuse to abide by the rules and the regulations, you cut them off. Because you see, you don't have to repeat yourself and force anybody to be in your life. You set those boundaries for a reason, though. To hold your personal values intact. And I say this all the time. Personal values is everything. I strongly believe every human being should work on their personal development continuously until the day you go. But your personal value, oh my good friends, is everything. Everything. The rule number 1, don't let any disrespect slide. When you set boundaries and people keep going, people keep disrespecting and they are not respecting those boundaries, you cut them off. You get what I'm saying? You cut them off. Now, when you say you don't like something, you don't have to go against those things for nobody. So that way they know that you just don't like it. You're not just saying, you get what I'm saying? And another thing, this is another tip. I think I should say, I mentioned this earlier though. Don't let anybody upset you or make you believe that you are the problem for setting such ridiculous boundaries. There's no such thing as a ridiculous boundary. If I tell you I don't like something, I don't want you to do something, I don't want you to do it with me. It's as simple as that. Now, the next one we'll talk about is active listening and understanding. I mentioned something earlier that when you are asserting boundaries in asserting communications and boundaries in a relationship, you learn to apply brakes. You give them the opportunity to digest what you just said. You ask questions like, what do you think about what I just said? You get me? And you listen. It's called active listening, active understanding. Because, it's easy to set boundaries, my good friends. You get me? But majority of the time, the life will teach you that people's thinking faculty is completely different from other people's thinking faculty. And we are not here to force anybody to like us. We are not here to force anybody to follow our rules and regulations. No. But what we are not going to do is allow you to disrespect us. Nope. It will never happen. So the act of active listening is very, very important in effective communication. Because majority of the time when people disrespect you, they feel the need to explain the reason why they are entitled to disrespect you. Don't argue with them. Listen to them. Hear them out. You just assert, a boundary within that communication, and they feel the need to explain themselves. Don't go like, don't be like, I don't care about what you're about to say. I don't care. You listen to them. If it goes for 10 minutes, you listen to them. You just keep quiet and you just listen to them. At the end of their explanation, if it doesn't go with them understanding that, okay, I just don't, you get what I'm saying? Like, because majority of the time, their explanations will be like, this is the reason why I feel entitled to do it, and I shall continue to do it. You come back to those boundaries and you say it again. Now you don't need to ask any questions. Now you assert it firmly and say, this is how I expect you to talk to me. You don't have to talk to me that way, how I want you to talk to me. But for us to continue these dynamics, for us to continue having these friendly conversations that we do, you have to talk to me this way. And if you say you won't, that's fine with me. I have to go. So, another thing under active listening and understanding is enhancing empathy through attentive listening. You have to learn how to listen to people, my good friends. Majority of the time, people will tell you, they will try to explain themselves, the reason why, they feel the need to operate the same way they operate. Like, oh no, I'm not trying to raise my voice at you, but you don't understand, I have a difficult childhood. You listen. Remember, non-verbal cues. You feel empathy for them. Like, I understand where you're coming from. I do. And when they are done, you come back to asserting those boundaries, which is, I understand where you're coming from. Take it from me, I do. And then you reaffirm those boundaries. At the end of the day, we all have our problems. I don't give a fuck. I don't really care. But you won't say I don't care though. You just say, I understand what you're saying. You get me? Like, I do. But you don't have to laugh like that, because, when you laugh like that, you're not showing empathy. Well, within ourselves, listen, say, okay, I get what you're saying. But I still don't want you to talk to me like that, because we all have our challenges. We all have our difficulties. And I've never inflicted my difficulties upon you. You get me? Like, we all have our childhood difficulties. I have never for once abused you before. So what give you the impression that you can abuse me and justify your actions? Because what you're trying to do right now is you're trying to justify your actions. And then you ask them questions again. Or am I mistaken? And then you wait for their response. Because remember, when you're having communications with people, you give them the opportunity to explain themselves. You get me? It's called understanding your own personal value. I don't really care. But you won't tell them you don't care though. So the next one let's talk about is public speaking mastering. You need to be an orator. When I started this podcast in 2021, my communication skills was very, very poor. I am an introvert. You get me? Like, even in the midst of my friends, if my friends ask me questions, and if multiple people ask me multiple questions at the same time, I will keep quiet. I will be lost, lost for words. So, with the podcast, I learned how to be more expressive, because I just speak to the phone, speak to the camera, and just, like now I am confident in myself. So you need to be confident in yourself too. Be expressive, my good friends. Oh, be expressive. One of the techniques that I use to become confident, when it comes to public speaking and podcasting and talking to different people is everybody is on their own stage. Every human being, they are in their own limelight. So, no one is paying attention to nobody. Majority of the time as human beings, we think the world radiates around us. No, that's a lie though. That's a lie. Like just be yourself. Accept yourself, and the world will accept you too, because you are confident in who you are. Like you are. I never for once thought that the African Man podcast would get to 72,000 subscribers. No, like not even once. 72,000? Come on now. Like not even once. I have to be frank with you. And if you go to the inception stage, 2021, I'm a stammerer. My communication skills is not even polished, but I accepted myself, and I would tell my subscribers there, my communication skills is bad. As long as you can accept your shortcomings, you get me? It's very, very hard for people to use it against you, if that makes sense. So the techniques is accept yourself of your shortcomings and let people know, even if you're on that stage and you're trying to be an orator, let people know that my communication skills is very, very poor, or I'm trying to work on it to be better. What do you guys think? And because people want to be in the position of teaching other people they believe is working on themselves. People like to feel like they have something to teach other people. So this is an opportunity to teach, opportunity for, you give them the opportunity to teach you something, to make them believe that they contributed to your, to your personal development. When I started the African Man podcast 2021, I would ask my subscribers, say, you guys know I stammer though. Like, what do you guys think? Oh my God. And majority of the time, when you are shooting a video, like the imperfections, people will edit those imperfections. I will leave the imperfections there and come back to tell people to go to so minutes of that video and tell me how they think I can fix it. You get me? You learn to carry people along. Not everybody though. Those that are interested. Under the public speaking mastery, let's talk about overcoming stage fright and building self-assurance. You need to understand that everybody is sitting in the audience, including you guys listening to me right now. If you have the dreams and the goals to become an orator, a public speaking genius someday, you need to understand that nobody is perfect. Nobody is perfect though. You get me? So even when you stammer, I stammer. When it comes to communication, I'm not the most confident human being, because one, I have an African accent living in the United States. You get me? But I accepted myself in the long run. Like it is what it is. Those that will accept you will accept you. Those that will not accept you will not accept you. So let's say in between the line, you forget your script. You use the following words. Excuse me, guys. I forgot my script. And 3-4 seconds, you catch it. You catch on and you get back. It's majority of the time doing public speaking, it is important to show people that imperfection, that I am still a human being. People want to showcase perfection. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that though. You are deluding yourself. The African Man podcast would never have risen to 72,000 subscribers if I was pretending to be perfect. No. That was even one time though. Around late 2022, I started developing acne on my face. You get me? And I would come online and show people that, oh my God, look at my face. I'm developing acne. Though, look at my black, these black spots, blackheads. Like, what do you guys think I'll use to this? And as it started working and I would show them, I still have acne on my face. And I would talk to them about it. You can't always show people how perfect you are. So, next, let's talk about tailoring communication for different audiences. Adapting communication styles for diverse group. I've come to understand something. As a man, the way I speak to men is different from the way I speak to women. As I start getting bigger in my career, you guys know I'm a software engineer. I own a software company. As I started doing business with other people, as I start traveling to other places, going to different corporations to talk business and money, I noticed something. The way I speak to an Asian man is different from the way I speak to a Caucasian man. It's different from the way I speak to an African man. And in Africa, for example, we have 54 countries. Some people will say it's 55 plus Sudan, but it's 54. And I'm starting to learn that I'm not just speaking to this race of people, or I'm speaking to different ethnicity of people. And I like, my focus is the culture. Because Asians, for example, like they are very, very strict, and they have a set of rules that they follow. Caucasians, for example, firm handshake, you look them in their eyes. The same thing with the Europeans, directly in the eyes. Like Africans, for example, you can do that firm handshake and look them directly in the eye like you're challenging them. Plus the Asians too. And these are things you need to understand, about tailoring communication for different audiences. Like the way I handshake a man is very, very different from the way I shake a woman. Preferably, I prefer not to shake a woman. You get me? Well, some will say, oh my God, you're being a sexist. I'm being a realistic person. I don't shake women. I just smile, I bow a little bit and say, how you doing? I keep it that way. Now, strategies for effective communication in various settings. Before you go ahead to meet anybody, take the time to know their ethnicity, take the time to know their race, take the time to understand a little bit about them. It's going to help you in the long run. So that way you don't just come in and and blow the whole business up. You get me? Like, don't just take, for example, if you've been in the United States for a while, you understand that when you look people directly in their eyes when they are talking to you, that is a sign of confidence. In Africa, for example, when people are talking to you, especially if those people are like let's say they have more money than you, or they are more older than you, when you look them directly in their eyes when they are talking to you, you're being disrespectful, because you are asserting dominance in their life. And from experience, that is disrespectful to Asians and Africans. You get me? So it depends. For me, when I go to present projects, because I do this every now and then, where I travel to New York, travel to Chicago to present projects. What I do across the bodies, I don't look people direct. I don't, especially the bosses, the founders, the CEOs, or the managers. I don't look them in their eyes too much. I look them in the eyes, look away to the board. You get what I'm saying? But Caucasians, for example, they are just different. They want you to look them in the eye so they can say, okay, he's a confident man. And you need to understand this. You're trying to do business. You're not here to, assert dominance in other people's life. And this is effective communication skills. Now, written communication skills. Learn how to craft clear and impactful written messages. Say, for example, when you are being formal on a one-on-one verbal communication, it is very, very different when you're being formal, when you're writing a message, like a letter. You get me? Or like an email. You don't want to come out to be too cold, if that makes sense. So you need to work on this though. Now, what are the best practices for professional written communication? First, you need to understand the person. You need to know who you are sending the message to. In a professional setting, I like to add a little bit of informal for me personally, because I don't like too much formal. You get what I'm saying? So, I use hello, hi there, or you get what I'm saying? Like, I hope you're having a wonderful day. But in a professional, I'm talking about formal, professional way. You don't have any reason to ask them, how's your day going? You go straight to the point, you push the message. So I like to build a rapport before I even get to an email. So I can be a little bit formal and say, wow, the weather is cold today though. I hope you're having a good day. You get what I'm saying? Like, I prefer, like, it works for me. I prefer that type of rapport. If that makes sense. I prefer that type of rapport though. So my best practice, and I will suggest the same thing to you for professional written communications, is you need to know who you are talking to. Do not assume everyone is the same. And I've met people that would check me immediately and say, nope, I'm not your friend. You get me? And I respect them. Some will say, nope, I'm not your friend. Like, we are, this is business. You should not be asking me how my day is going. I will say, okay, I apologize. Let's get to the money. But majority of the time, 95% of them, they always come back to say, I should not have spoken to you that way. I'm sorry. So, you can't take these things personal. So, the next one is virtual communication challenges. Navigating online meetings with clarity. Be respectful. When you are, especially if there are other subordinates, in a Zoom call, in a Teams, video call, just, be respectful. You get me? Like, be very, very respectful. This is not the time to be a class clown. If that makes sense. Be very, very respectful. When people are talking, be a good listener. You listen to them. You listen to them though. And say, for example, let's say it takes them 2 minutes to express whatever they are trying to say. When they are done, you ask them question though. That was a very, very great expression. Let's say, Jennifer, is that all you have to say for now? Or would that be the end of everything? Or Jennifer, we are humbled to, we are humbled by your presence. Thank you so much for that explanation. And if they have anything else to say, rather than ask them and say, do you have anything else to say? No, you can't do that. You can just say, thank you so much for gracing us with your presence. That was well thought of. You get me? And then you say whatever you have to say. You appreciate them first before you say anything you have to say. Because, you want to be professional and be a good example for other people. So, to round this up, continuous improvement and reflection. My good friends, personal development is the best strategy to become a better human being. And as long as you know how to reflect on yourself, and rather than justify your actions and say, I did what I had to do. No. You should know how to check yourself. I should not have done this. I was wrong. You don't have to tell the whole world. You get me? you self-reflect, and you judge yourself. Accountability. And the same thing goes with communication skills. Reflecting on personal communication growth. I should not have said that. Why did I say that? I think I said too much. No, I should not. You get me? But don't be too hard on yourself. And you need to have strategies for continuous improvement and development. Like, either once in a week or 2 times in a month, you need to learn to sit down by yourself for at least 20 minutes or 30 minutes just reflecting. So that way you can better yourself continuously. When you do this, your personal values will be intact though. Because now you know what to accept, you know what not to accept. My name is 𝗃𝗺𝗵𝗁 once again from the 𝗃𝗺𝗵𝗁 podcast. This podcast series aims to provide practical insights and tips on different topics and how to develop, your skills in various aspects of life. My intention is to add value in my own little way. And thank you guys for listening to me though. Show your love, show your support, subscribe, and check us out on Instagram and TikTok at the 𝗃𝗺𝗵𝗁 podcast. Take it easy, my friends. See you again.